Slowly kisses busting by the river.
Welcome to another exciting edition of the Million Dollar Peddlers. I'm Peppergoy.
And I'm Mr. Magazine.
Today we're going to talk about something that should be obvious and should be fundamental, but it's amazing how many people miss it. And it's also amazing how often people apparently must miss it because of the comments that you hear from buyers in the off chance that something or other does happen. And by that I mean disclose the flaws. If I've got a magazine and it's missing pages, that doesn't mean I can't sell it necessarily. I mean, of course, if it's an old magazine, if it has something very valuable in it, et cetera,
Yeah.
it still has value to it. But I need to tell people about the problem. And I'll use a perfect example. Do you remember the Life magazine from, is it 61 or 62 with Elizabeth Taylor on the cover?
Oh, yes.
What does that have of value?
His Mickey Mantle, Roger Maris card.
It does. Postcards, serial cards. They're in there. People take them out. People cut them up. People get them graded, et cetera, et cetera. I got one that didn't have it. So guess what I was certain to do when I listed it?
Disclose.
I disclosed that there were no cards, and it actually sold. Now, this was back in the day when the cards, or when the issue was going for $50 to $60. I think I got $15 to $20 out of it, but it went to somebody or other who needed that for their collection and didn't care about the cards. If I didn't disclose that that was missing, I would have probably sold it for more money, and then when the person got it, they would have been very, very upset about it.
Absolutely.
And I know you were telling me before about a couple of things where things weren't disclosed.
Yeah.
Take it away.
Yeah, just a couple days ago, actually, we sold a Hot Wheels Redline retro car. It's in the red packaging, and I didn't list it, my employee did, but the gentleman gets it and complains there's a crease across it. He still wants it, but it's not worth the $15 he paid. So then I'm like, well, did it get damaged in shipping, or did it come like that? He goes, oh, I can't tell. It's I can't tell by the picture. Well, I looked the picture up, and clearly you can see the crease across it. So and we did it as like new, I believe, because it had that crease. Where if it didn't have the crease, we would have said mint and new. So he was complaining, rightly so. I guess he didn't see it, and I said, well, what's a fair partial refund? He paid $15, I think, with shipping, so it was like $10 plus $5 shipping. He wanted a $10 refund. Well, at first, I don't want to mess around with the company returning it and so forth. And I was going to say, how about 5 or 7? Then you're going to nickel and dime and piss them off anyway. So I said, oh, fine. I'll give you the $10 refund, which I think that's a bit high on that. Would you agree?
Yeah, that's basically you got the item for free.
Yeah, in the old days, I would say return it and we'll give you a full refund, but I don't want to mess with that. And I'm sure he's quick to throw me a negative. So, you just have to eat it, bite the bullet, and give him the refund.
Yep, and that's one where you'll talk to your employee and say, make sure that you show this right up front so nobody has any questions
about
it.
Even a close-up would even be more helpful, because some people don't do the zoom-ins. They're quick to, buy the item they want, and they don't see that.
And I know that there are a lot of times where you'll be asked a question and you'll have me come over and take a look in the computer as well.
Yeah.
Is that sticker residue? Is that from the picture? And people do care about that if they're collecting. Obviously, if they're just buying it to read or something like that, it's not such a big deal. Right. Yeah. But the reason why I bring this topic up is because I've been at places before where one big thing that really bothers me, if you have, let me ask you this. Mm-hmm. You've got a 1958 Playboy magazine. I assume they had centerfolds back then?
Yep.
And you go through the magazine and you lift the centerfold out. What do you call that?
Detached.
I do as well.
Yep.
You would be amazed how many people say, oh, the centerfold is loose. And I laugh and I go, no. Loose is if I pull on it and it goes like that a little bit. Yeah. That is loose. Right. If I go this, that's not loose. That's detached.
Yeah.
And I've seen various auctions where, oh, it's got a little ding on the corner, and the corner is literally missing. So I do understand that, especially at public auction, it's as is where is. It's buyer beware. I do understand that. And they are disclosing some sort of flaw. But it's really, really important if you're buying from people regularly, especially at auctions, that you know what it is that you're getting and you know how the person
Yeah.
describes things. Because again, if I was at another auction and the gentleman was paging through a magazine, and it was a good magazine. It was one of the Marvel Super Special with Kiss.
Oh, nice.
Good magazine.
Yeah.
And he paged through it, and as he was paging through it, it had half a page. So somebody had
Yeah.
clipped a thing out of it. Now, he didn't say anything about it. He just kept paging.
Right.
Certainly, had I not been paying a lot of attention and I bought it,
Yeah.
I would have been upset when I got it because he
Right.
didn't disclose the flaws.
Well, if you take your eyes off it as he's turning that page, you don't see it. Even though he showed you, you weren't watching at that moment, and you'd pay accordingly. You wouldn't pay the top dollar, a little less than.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Because it still has some value.
Right.
But there's a lot of things that just people must cut corners on it. And I guess my question to the sellers out there that do that sort of thing. Now, you are in a different situation because you're a bulk seller. You've got a lot of things and you have people listing things quickly. And as we've spoken before, you can't possibly have somebody go through every single page. Just not possible.
Right.
However, that being said, a lot of these sellers, you just wonder, they're one-man shows, take their time, they list things slowly, that kind of thing. Do they think that, I don't know, I might not notice that half the pages are missing out of a magazine?
Right, yeah.
And there are other times, as we've spoken in the past as well, some things you can't necessarily disclose, so you have to sell them as is. I'm thinking puzzles,
Yeah.
things like that. Some of those toys you get into, like the Droid Factory. I think we did one of those earlier. That's a lot of work to figure out if everything is there or not. And if you're looking, or games, are you really going to count on a Monopoly game, whether every $10 bill is there, whether every $20 bill is there?
Right.
I mean, obviously, if you do, you can get top dollar on it because you guarantee that it's complete.
Oh, yeah. Sure.
But
Even models. A perfect example. I bought 2 gigantic model collections, like airplane models. One 5 years ago, which was my first one, and I wasn't as familiar with the parts and so forth. And anything sealed is obviously an easy sell.
Yep.
Self-explanatory. But the ones that were open boxes, the gentleman said they are complete. Well, we took his word for it, and guess what? Some of them were not complete, and we had some returns. This time around, knowing what we know, we list them, like new. They appear to be complete. There's a instruction manual, there's decals, but you're buying what you see. There could be a part or two missing, but we're selling it as is, and people still bought them. But now they know that going in, hey, maybe I'm going to get lucky and it's complete. I paid, $10 less. I thought it might be missing parts, or you can clearly see what's missing in there. So you just live and learn as you go along.
Well, and another interesting thing is it gets difficult a lot of times on some of the older items because you and I are not experts necessarily in the older items.
Right.
The person buying them is an expert.
Right.
But that's where if we list something older and it's missing something, it's certainly not intentional. I had no idea that it came with it.
Sure.
There are a lot of buyers who obviously have had issues in the past because other people don't necessarily know either that are nice enough to ask you and say, does this have? Yeah. And then you can look into it and say, oh my gosh, it doesn't. I didn't know it had it. Or, oh, it does have that.
Sure.
That's great. And then in the back of my head, at least, is next time I see those magazines, know to look for this.
Oh, yeah.
Because that has this, or this toy, especially you get into old toys. Yeah. How many times have we looked at an old toy that we say, I don't know if something's supposed to go there or not. We just don't know. Yeah. You go on pictures on the internet, and some of them might be so obscure there's nothing there.
Well, electronics, those are the worst in my opinion. And, I too, like Auction Professor, I don't like dealing in electronics and stereo equipment. I will deal in them if they power up. And I could say they power up as is, or if something is like $500 or $1,000, then we'll test it out, to get the maximum money out of it.
Well, and that's one thing that shout out to Primetime. He noted on one of his videos, if you do that, take a picture of the item when it's powered up.
Right, yeah, we do.
Because then you have that as well, because it goes beyond your just saying that it powers up.
Sure.
You've actually got the picture proof of it.
Right.
And I never would have thought of doing that until I saw his video as well. But he said it definitely helped him sell an item as well. But I guess the whole point of this is, and again, it should be common sense, but disclose the flaws that you see. Somebody's not going to not notice the cover's ripped off.
Right.
You know, and another little trick that I do, and I know we've talked about this before, and it probably costs me a little bit of money, but it gets rid of headaches. And at this point, I want fewer headaches if possible, even if it means leaving a couple of dollars on the table. I'm absolutely fine with that. I know we've talked in the past, what are the chances that I list something today and its condition improves while it's in storage?
Pretty slim.
As a guy back in college used to say when we used to play pinochle, slim to none, and slim just left town.
Yep.
So say it's got a long tear on the cover and the cover is very, very loose. I will list it and I will put it in a bag and put it in storage in the bag. I'm going to say front cover detached.
Yeah.
Because there is a chance that by the time that I sell the item, or in shipping, or in packing, that the front cover, or in the guy's taking it out of the bag, whatever, there's a chance the front cover, because it's only hanging on by that much anyway in a long magazine.
Sure.
It's not going to change the value. It's not like, oh, a cover that's attached 10% is worth a lot more than a cover that's completely detached. So just say that it's completely detached.
Sure.
It'll protect you in the long run. The other quick question I wanted to ask you, we are in agreement on loose versus detached. I have a magazine. The covers are detached, but you've got the magazine here, you've got the covers, you have the front cover, and you have the back cover over here. How would you describe that? So in other words, it isn't just a case where you take the cover off and here's the covers.
Yeah,
But you have
I would
separate.
say separated, cover separated.
Okay.
Yeah.
I say split up spine.
Okay.
So they both kind of are telling people that, hey, you're getting it. The covers are there, but... so hopefully that helps you some. I think we all kind of know to disclose the flaws if you see them. But amazingly, a lot of people appear not to do so, whether they're in a hurry, whether they're not collectors, so it's not important to them. And again, you will miss things. You just absolutely will, especially if you're selling a 400-page magazine or a 400-page book.
Yeah.
Something might be missing. I had a book up for sale that a gentleman made me an offer on. Well, he didn't make me an offer. First, he said, I'm more willing to pay your price, but does it have? And I checked, and it did not have the map that was supposed to be there. Now, I didn't know there was supposed to be a map there.
Yeah.
So I said, no, I'm sorry, it does not have it. And I immediately, and this is kind of important too, at that point, I'm aware that there's supposed to be a map. I then change my listing to note the map is not there. Better to do that because somebody else may ask you in the future. You may not realize that you've answered it before, and now you're digging the same book out again to answer the same question.
Right.
So just note it's not there. And then if somebody does make you a lower offer on it, they may say, oh, I'm offering you lower because it doesn't have the map.
Yeah.
Well, I may have, when I priced it, not realized there was supposed to be a map, so I may be overpriced to start with. So do disclose the flaws. There's no real reason not to do so. People will notice. 99 times out of 100, they will notice. I mean, if I sell you a coffee maker and it's not working, you probably are buying it to use it. You probably will notice when you try to make coffee if no coffee comes out. It's kind of common sense on that sort of thing. So hopefully this helps you a little. If you could hit the like button, definitely appreciate it. If you could subscribe, appreciate that even more. Comment down below. We answer all comments, and we will see you next video.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Don't wanna be, ooh,